It is June 2026. Outside the Collin County Courthouse in Texas, the atmosphere is electric with outrage. Online, the noise is even louder. Grammy-winning artists like Cardi B are weighing in on a trial. Crowdfunding campaigns are crossing the $500,000 mark. And digital mobs are busy doxing the presiding judge and swatting the families involved. At the center of this storm are two 17-year-old boys. One is black, sitting at the defense table. The other is white, and he is dead. What started as a senseless fight between two teenagers in a stadium bleacher quickly escalated into something much larger. We are going to look at exactly how a private, local tragedy was forcefully dismantled and fed into America's outrage machine. To understand how we got here, we rewind to April 2025. It's a rainy spring day in Frisco, Texas, at a high school track meet. These events are highly social. Athletes from different schools are constantly mixing, warming up, and hanging out in the stands. Two of those athletes are Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony. Both are standout football and track stars, with strong academic records and bright futures. They go to different schools, and prior to this afternoon, they have never met. The entire confrontation starts over a piece of canvas. Several schools are competing, and Anthony decides to sit under a tent belonging to Memorial High School, Austin Metcalf's team. It's the kind of minor territorial ego clash that happens 1,000 times a day in high schools across the country. But this time, a seating dispute will leave one boy dead, send the other to prison, and tear a city apart. Inside the Memorial High tent, the timeline is painfully short. Witnesses say Anthony is approached by Austin's twin brother Hunter, who repeatedly asks him to leave the rival team's area. Then, Austin Metcalf steps in to confront him. The situation instantly turns hostile. According to the police report, Anthony reaches his hand into his backpack and tells Metcalf, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf calls his bluff. Witnesses describe Metcalf pushing Anthony, attempting to force him out. In response, Anthony pulls a 3-inch utility knife from the backpack. He stabs Metcalf a single time in the chest. Austin Metcalf would die from that wound. In less than 5 minutes, a total failure to de-escalate turned a petty argument into an irreversible tragedy. When the case goes to trial over a year later, the defense relies heavily on the specifics of state law. They argue that Texas does not require a person to wait to be physically struck before using force to protect themselves. The defense asks the jury to look at the situation through the eyes of a 17-year-old boy. They frame Anthony as being surrounded by a hostile group of rival athletes, reacting in a split second of sheer panic. The prosecution counters that this was a provoked attack. They point to the fact that Anthony had his hand on a concealed weapon and issued a specific verbal threat before Metcalf ever touched him. To dismantle the claim that Anthony was trapped, the prosecution introduces this diagram mapping the exact layout of the bleachers. By analyzing surveillance footage, they plot exactly where Anthony was sitting in relation to Metcalf and the surrounding students. By tracing the open space around the tent, prosecutors show that Anthony had clear, unobstructed paths to simply walk away long before the pushing started. The jury is left with a heavy burden. They have to decide where the law draws the line between a teenager's justifiable fear and a disproportionate, lethal retaliation. Outside the courtroom, the facts of the case are completely overshadowed. Because Metcalf was white and Anthony is black, the local community's grief is quickly absorbed and weaponized by the national culture war. Deliberate misinformation floods social media. Viral, entirely false reports begin circulating, including fabricated autopsy documents claiming Austin Metcalf actually died from an MDMA overdose. Political commentators seize on the story. Right-wing influencers compare Karmelo Anthony's claim of self-defense to the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, driving partisan outrage that helps push Anthony's legal defense fundraisers past $500,000. This online vitriol soon bleeds into the real world. The judge presiding over the case receives death threats after her personal information is leaked, and both boys' grieving families are targeted by multiple swatting calls at their homes. A localized tragedy is forcibly stripped from the people actually living through it. Instead of allowing a city to process its pain, the incident is fed into a vast digital machine designed to mine human suffering for clicks and engagement. Back in the courtroom, a jury, which notably includes no black members, rejects the self-defense argument. They find Karmelo Anthony guilty of murder. He is subsequently sentenced to 35 years in prison. In response to the stabbing, the Frisco Independent School District implements strict new security protocols for all athletic events. The relaxed, highly social culture of high school track meets in the district is gone permanently. We are left looking at two distinct tragedies. First is the terrifying fragility of teenage life, where a minor dispute can end in death in a matter of seconds. And second is the disturbing reality that in the modern digital age, a grieving community is no longer allowed to mourn in peace.